There's a new kind of AI lurking in the darker corners of the internet, an intelligence system not built to help but to harm. It's called WormGPT, and unlike the friendly tools we're used to, this one doesn't follow any rules, no filters, no ethics, just raw, unrestricted intelligence designed for one purpose: cybercrime. In this video, I'll walk you through what WormGPT really is, how it works, what it's capable of, and why experts are calling it one of the most dangerous AI models ever released. So what exactly is WormGPT? It's a generative AI model built on top of the GPT-J framework, a language model originally created back in 2021. Think of it as ChatGPT's darker twin. While ChatGPT has ethical guidelines that prevent it from generating harmful or illegal content, WormGPT was deliberately stripped of every safeguard. Its creators engineered it to do the exact opposite: to create phishing emails, write malicious code, and even advise on illegal operations. Security researchers from /Next were the first to uncover WormGPT's existence. They found it being openly promoted on a popular cybercrime forum, an underground hub where hackers buy and sell digital weapons. The creator of WormGPT claims that it was trained on an extensive mix of data, much of it focused on malware and exploit development. They even brag about features like unlimited text generation, chat memory, and precise code formatting, tools that make it ideal for both coding and manipulation. Access to WormGPT isn't free. It's being sold for around €60 a month, or roughly €550 a year, with a free trial to lure in new users. But this isn't a tool you experiment with for fun. This is a weapon, an AI weapon that anyone can buy. And that's what makes it terrifying. AI has become a vital tool in cybersecurity, helping professionals detect and stop attacks before they happen. But in the wrong hands, that same technology can be flipped, used to outsmart defenses, exploit vulnerabilities, and automate deception. That's exactly what WormGPT was built for. It's capable of generating text that feels human, natural, and persuasive, perfect for crafting realistic phishing emails or social engineering attacks that trick victims into clicking dangerous links or sharing sensitive information. Normally, scam emails are easy to spot. They're full of grammatical errors and awkward phrasing. But with AI like WormGPT, those clues disappear. The language becomes polished, professional, and targeted, customized to sound like the person or company the victim trusts. Traditional AI models like ChatGPT or Google Bard have filters to prevent this kind of misuse. They recognize when someone is trying to generate harmful content and block it. WormGPT, however, operates with no moral compass. It doesn't care what you ask it to do. It will obey every command, no questions asked. Security company /Next discovered screenshots showing WormGPT crafting phishing emails that could easily fool employees, clients, or executives. The model produced messages that sounded authentic, complete with subject lines, formatting, and even fake invoices. This is where things get especially dangerous, because WormGPT isn't just creating text, it's creating trust and then weaponizing it. In one of their experiments, /Next asked WormGPT to compose an email from a fake CEO to an accountant demanding an urgent payment for a fraudulent invoice. The result was chilling. The message was perfectly structured, professional, urgent, and emotionally manipulative. It referenced prior communication to appear genuine and even attached a realistic invoice formatted in code. This is no longer the kind of spam that ends up in your junk folder. This is the kind of email that passes every corporate filter and lands straight in your inbox, because it looks, reads, and feels human. And that's only one of its abilities. WormGPT can also generate working malware scripts, exploit code, and even offer advice on how to carry out illegal operations while avoiding detection. Its creators showcased examples where WormGPT wrote backdoor code capable of breaching systems and stealing data, all within seconds. The implications are enormous. With tools like this, the barrier to entry for cybercrime drops to almost zero. Anyone with an internet connection could suddenly act like a skilled hacker, launching targeted attacks from behind a keyboard without any technical background. But WormGPT isn't alone. There are other rogue AI models following the same path, like PoisonGPT, created as a security experiment by Mithril Security. PoisonGPT was designed to study how generative AI could be manipulated to spread misinformation. It was trained to subtly insert historical lies about World War II while maintaining a normal conversational tone. In testing, it proved how dangerously easy it is to twist AI into spreading believable falsehoods. The rise of WormGPT and PoisonGPT shows us a disturbing truth. AI isn't inherently good or evil. It reflects whoever controls it, And when that control ends up in the wrong hands, Next tests were alarming but instructive. They ran controlled experiments where volunteers rated WormGPT generated emails for authenticity, and the results spoke volumes. Most of the messages scored dangerously high on realism. People weren't seeing robotic phrasing or obvious mistakes. They were seeing believable, context-aware messages that reference prior conversations, used the right corporate tone, and deployed urgency and authority to trigger action. That's the exact cocktail cybercriminals crave for business email compromise, payroll fraud, and credential harvesting. Think about the mechanics. WormGPT can maintain chat memory, which means it can mimic a conversation thread over time, gradually building rapport with a target. It can produce realistic invoices, formatted code snippets, and even staged attachments that look official. Combine that with basic OSINT, a quick scrape of LinkedIn profiles, company bios, and publicly available email templates. And the model tailors attacks with terrifying precision. Where social engineering once required patience and skill, WormGPT automates the craft. From a defensive standpoint, this changes everything. Traditional email filters look for known malicious patterns, suspicious links, and poor language. They're great at catching bulk spam and unsophisticated scams. But they struggle when the attacker mimics an internal tone, uses correct formatting, and references legitimate sounding details. Now add speed and scale. A WormGPT can generate thousands of bespoke phishing attempts in minutes, iterating on the most successful variations. It can A/B test subject lines, tones, and call to action phrasing until it finds the exact combination that elicits a click. That's why cybersecurity pros are alarmed. The game shifts from hunting single attackers to defending against an automated adversary that learns and refines tactics in real time. Endpoint detection, multi-factor authentication, employee training, and anomaly detection all become more important, but they're not bulletproof. A well-crafted business email compromise that arrives with the right legitimacy markers can still bypass controls and persuade even trained employees to comply. Law enforcement and platform providers face a similar uphill battle. The operators behind WormGPT advertise on forums that use cryptocurrencies and burner accounts, making attribution difficult. Even if a specific instance is shut down, clones can pop up within days. Researchers have found versions of malicious models hosted on decentralized platforms, mirrored across multiple servers, or sold as packaged services through private channels. That resilience means takedowns are temporary and the market adapts quickly. So what can defenders actually do? First, detection needs to move beyond simple heuristics. AI-powered defensive systems must look for behavioral patterns, not just textual signals. Timing of requests, anomalous changes in invoice formatting, new payment recipients, and deviations from normal approval workflows. Organizations should harden finance processes with multi-step verification for payments, introduce strict escalation protocols for unusual requests, and require voice or video confirmation for high-value transfers. Training helps, but assume some scams will succeed. Design systems that limit blast radius when they do. Second, visibility is crucial. Monitor for credential leaks, unusual API activity, and sudden surges in outbound emails that mimic internal voices. Use deception techniques, honey tokens, and bogus domains to detect when attackers start testing campaign elements. And when campaigns are detected, share indicators quickly across industry ICCs and with law enforcement to raise the cost and reduce the lifespan of campaigns. Third, the AI vendors themselves need to step up. Responsible model releases, safety layers, and access controls are more than PR. They're infrastructure security. Models that can generate code or provide operational advice must be gated, monitored, and instrumented with usage logs that aid forensic analysis. Ironically, the same generative models that empower attackers can also help defenders. Used to simulate likely attack variants and proactively harden systems, but that requires ethical stewardship and cooperation across the industry. On the policy side, countries are scrambling to adapt. Some regulators are discussing stricter rules for AI access, mandatory reporting for malicious AI instances, and harsher penalties for sellers of weaponized models. International cooperation is messy but necessary. These tools don't respect borders, and the cascade effects of a single campaign can hit companies and critical infrastructure anywhere in the world. There's also a deeper societal debate unfolding. How do we balance openness in AI research, which accelerates innovation, with the clear risks of weaponization? Many helpful models began as open source projects that democratized capabilities. That same openness makes it easier for bad actors to fork and adapt technology. The community is starting to explore tiered access, audit trails, and model licensing that restricts harmful use while preserving research benefits. But those frameworks are partial and inconsistent so far. Meanwhile, the commercial side of cybercrime evolves. Access to tools like WormGPT lowers the barrier to entry for attackers and scales operations. Small-time scammers can suddenly run campaigns that used to require skilled teams. That could lead to a flood of opportunistic attacks, credential harvesting, invoice fraud, account takeovers that overwhelm response teams and erode trust in digital communications. Over time, this erosion could change online behavior, more friction in transactions, heavier verification, and potential economic costs from slower commerce. There's also a reputational risk for AI as a field. Publicized exploits using malevolent models can stunt progress by triggering bans, restrictive legislation, and a chilling effect on research. Conversely, ignoring the risks would be naive. The right path lies in coordinated defense industry, academia, and governments collaborating on detection, standards, and rapid response takedowns. Transparency in reporting and sharing attack signatures will be vital. From a technology perspective, some hopeful signs exist. Defensive AIs are improving at spotting synthetic text and detecting subtle signals of automated generation. Watermarking techniques for generated text and code are being developed, and provenance tracking for model outputs is an active research area. If reliably implemented, these could help trace the origin of malicious content or at least flag it for additional scrutiny. But smart attackers will adapt, and watermarks can be removed or bypassed by clever preprocessing. Finally, the human element remains the wild card. Even the best tech controls fail when social engineering succeeds. That's why continuous education, phishing simulations, and a culture that rewards skepticism over speed are essential. Empower people to verify, question, and escalate. Make it easy for employees to check suspicious requests without fear of reprimand. Build protocols that assume compromise is possible and minimize what a single click can do. The underground marketplaces where WormGPT and similar tools trade look like a shadow economy. Invitation-only forums, encrypted chat rooms, and darknet marketplaces where reputation matters more than credit score. Sellers package access as subscriptions, botnets, or turnkey attack services, phishing as a service, malware builders, or even campaign optimization using A/B testing powered by AI, payments move in cryptocurrency, and vendors offer tiers, basic access for novice scammers, premium packages for coordinated campaigns. That structure makes it easy for small-time criminals to scale quickly and for organized groups to automate complex operations that once required teams of specialists. There are already worrying case studies. In one reported simulation, a mid-sized firm received an invoice request that looked identical to previous supplier emails. It bypassed filters and nearly completed a six-figure transfer before the finance team flagged an inconsistency. In another incident, employees were targeted with personalized credential harvest attempts that referenced internal project names pulled from public repositories. These campaigns were not spray and pray, they were surgical, crafted with context, and engineered to bypass human suspicion. When WormGPT or similar tools are used at scale, the volume and quality of attacks rise together. More realistic lures, more believable social engineering, and vastly greater reach. So how do individuals and small organizations protect themselves? Start with the basics and assume compromise is inevitable. Don't reuse passwords, use a reputable password manager and enable multi-factor authentication on every account that supports it. Treat unexpected payment requests with skepticism, verify via a separate channel, call the vendor directly, and insist on multi-person approval for large transfers. For personal email, be wary of unexpected attachments or links, even when the sender looks familiar. Hover to check URLs, and when in doubt, contact the supposed sender by phone. Keep software patched, maintain offline backups, and monitor accounts for unusual activity. For businesses, invest in layered defenses that assume social engineering will succeed sometimes. Implement strict payment workflows, require out-of-band confirmations for sensitive actions, and limit the privileges of any single employee. Use AI-powered detection systems tuned to behavioral anomalies rather than just textual heuristics, and deploy deception tech, honey tokens, fake endpoints, monitored traps to catch attackers who are testing campaign elements. Regular red team exercises, combined with real-world phishing drills, help keep teams alert and improve institutional muscle memory. At the industry level, defenders need to move faster and collaborate more openly. Threat intelligence sharing, rapid reporting of malicious model instances, and joint takedown operations can disrupt sellers and raise the cost of doing business for attackers. Security vendors should treat rogue models as they treat botnets or malware families. Track distributions, attribute activity clusters, and publish indicators that help defenders block campaigns before they gain traction. Regulators and platforms also have roles. Marketplaces that tolerate weaponized AI should face pressure to enforce terms, and hosting providers should act quickly when models facilitate crimes. There's also a technical front worth pursuing. Watermarking AI outputs and embedding traceable fingerprints into generated code or prose could give defenders forensic leverage. Provenance systems that require model operators to register and log usage when feasible would make it harder for anonymous sellers to operate with impunity. At the same time, researchers need to develop detection methods that can spot context-aware malicious content even when it mimics human tone perfectly. Those are hard problems, but they're solvable with concerted effort. And then there's the policy piece. International cooperation is essential because attackers and their infrastructure cross borders effortlessly. Legal frameworks must update to consider the sale of weaponized AI as an aggravating factor in cybercrime sentencing, and regulators should explore rules that make it harder to market and monetize tools explicitly designed for harm. Public-private partnerships with transparent reporting and coordinated response mechanisms will be critical if we want to keep pace. But whatever defenses we build, one truth remains: technology evolves, and so do attackers. WormGPT is a wake-up call, not because it's the first malicious model, but because it makes clear how rapidly capabilities can trickle into criminal tool chains. For every mitigation researchers and defenders invent, adversaries will probe and iterate. That arms race is why vigilance, investment, and cooperation matter now more than ever. WormGPT is a wake-up call, not a single catastrophe waiting to happen, but a clear signal that the tools of chaos are getting easier to build and cheaper to buy. The upside is still real. I can defend, accelerate research, and make life better. But the downside is now plainly visible: automation of deception, scaled social engineering, and off-the-shelf crimeware that learns and improves itself. If you run a business, assume attackers will use smarter tools tomorrow than they do today. Harden your processes, enforce multi-step approvals, and design systems that limit what a single compromised email or credential can do. If you're an individual, treat unexpected requests with suspicion, use strong authentication, and keep your devices and backups current. For researchers and platforms, push for better provenance, watermarking, and responsible release practices so that powerful models don't become turnkey weapons overnight. Policy and cooperation matter too. We need faster reporting, cross-border takedowns, and clearer legal frameworks that treat the sale and distribution of weaponized models as a serious crime. And the AI community must keep building defenses, automated detectors, forensic traces, and robust red team testing, because the adversary will keep evolving. This is not a problem with a single fix. It's a global, multi-layered challenge that requires tech, law, and people to work together. Stay skeptical, stay updated, and treat your inbox like a contested battlefield. Because in the era of malicious AI, the weakest link can be an entire organization's undoing.